The other thing that I want to talk about before we get off this, because I know Tyler and I could talk for hours, I want to talk about the, let's see, we've talked about stress with the mental, but I want to talk a little bit about the emotional support and how that can actually affect your inflammatory response. Our emotions play a huge role in our physical and mental well-being. So make sure that you're taking time to nurture how you feel. Find somebody that might spend time with you that makes you feel good. Somebody that can validate how you're feeling without going down the rabbit hole with you. We have those friends. All of us do. All of us have those friends that, when you're having a bad time, they can validate what you're doing, but sometimes they go down the rabbit hole with you. When you're like, grab your pitchfork, we're going to kill somebody. And they show up 10 minutes later at your door with a pitchfork, and, some other sort of weapon. You're like, wait a minute. We don't need to get that crazy about this. Or the person that's like, absolutely, I understand how you felt that way. I probably would have felt that way too. But, everything happens for a reason. Let's find a way that we can look at this through a different lens and, maybe find not necessarily the joy in it, but the curiosity in understanding it, So I don't want to ignore the importance of our emotions and how they affect our physical being, thus affect our inflammatory response. Feeling heard, feeling secure, feeling safe. If you're not feeling safe, guys, since your, what's it called? Fight or flight, your sympathetic nervous system is triggered a lot if you're not feeling safe. And find people, places, and things, whether it's a book that you read or a show that you watch or a podcast that you listen to, find ways to be able to connect to your emotions, and all of them. Emotions don't exist in a vacuum. We've talked about this before in other podcasts. We tend to only want the good emotions, right? But all of your emotions come from the same place. And so when you dumb down, the anger or the fear, you're also pushing down your ability to express joy and happiness and love. They all come from the same box, right? They don't exist in a vacuum. And so it's okay to have a whole myriad of emotions. And those emotions that are uncomfortable, let's get curious about them and maybe find a way to talk about them, express them, process them. And I don't know if that's with a friend, a family, a therapist, a loved one, journaling, writing, humming. What's crazy? Humming is such a good thing to do. It stimulates your vagus nerve and it just makes you feel better. My daughter called me out the other day. She said, Mom, you hum all the time. I'm always humming when I'm doing something, whether I'm, if I'm doing something physical, I tend to be humming quite a bit. You'd be surprised at how relaxing humming is. But I do want us to talk about how important our emotions are in the overall picture of stress and inflammation and our well-being. They're not to be ignored.
Definitely not. Yeah. It's better to say I'm frustrated than to say I'm not frustrated.
Yeah, I know. I can tell, Tyler, you're not frustrated. But we tend to hold. We do. I don't know what it is. So we put everything in this box of good or bad, right? And there are these good emotions, and then there's bad emotions. That's just not true. Anger is a powerful emotion, right? It's an emotion of transition. It's an emotion of motivation. It's an emotion of you kind of know where your limits are, right? When you bump up against that anger like that, you're like, wow, this is a refining moment for me. This is where I draw a line in the sand, and it allows you to take inventory of what you value, right? And what your belief system is and what you're willing to do. So it's not about putting them in a certain category, but if all you're feeling is anger, let's get curious about why. And, seek some consultation from someone, something. Some people can find it in books, friends, internet, therapist, your religious leaders, oftentimes your pastors and different people of different, wherever you feel comfortable reaching out for that. But I just didn't want to ignore that because we spend a lot of time when we talk about health, talking about our physical body, and it is only a small piece of the pie. Our mental and emotional and spiritual dimensions of ourselves are huge, and they play such an important role to our overall well-being. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't bring that up when we were talking about inflammation in the body.
Definitely agreed. Yeah, and it's hard to, I mean, having a therapist is incredible. I mean, makes such a difference in life overall, and just our ability to carry things, feelings and things like that. And having great friends, like between like therapist and great friends and family, it's hard to find things that are better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But another resource that exists out there is our Powerful People Facebook group. And
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to be a space where we can all share together safely and have each other's backs, and have a space where we can say the things that maybe we don't feel ready yet to say to the people in our life, or whatever it is, right? So use the group. It's a really powerful resource. We're all in there. Everybody on this podcast is in there, fellow listeners of the show. It's just a place where we can come together and share these types of things and get some perspective and some feedback. And like you said, sharing things with people sometimes is, you didn't say this exactly. It's how I perceived what you said. But like sharing things with other people, it helps us to regulate our own nervous system, right? Like sometimes it's helpful if we're feeling stressed or anxious or whatever it is. If we can call up our friend, or if we can go on the Facebook group and just say like, I'm feeling this happened. I don't like that, what, blah, 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 blah. Just the act of doing that and sending it out, it's like a transfer of energy. It's almost like you're teleporting that out of your body.
100%. Oh my gosh, the power of getting it out is huge. And if you don't want to do it publicly, if you don't have somebody that you can go to, and by the way, Tyler, I couldn't agree more. A therapist, they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. What therapy does is incredible. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in, my friends and family's life. So it is absolutely beautiful. And or a friend, that can hold the space for you, because there's the friend that goes down the rabbit hole with you. And then there's the friend that, can hold the space for you, to process whatever you're processing. But getting it out there, it is something powerful, whether you want to journal or, type it into something. That there is something so powerful about just getting it out. I find that I will go to the computer and I will start typing, and I will send an email to myself. So when I say to myself, I literally mean to me, Stephanie. It's my email address. But the person that I will address is the person that's creating, or the situation that's creating the anger. So in this example, let's just say it's my husband. I'm not picking on my husband. Let's just say that there was something with my husband. And I will say, knowing that I can connect on an energetic level with him because we're so close, we've been together so long, and he and I weren't able to talk because he was busy or whatever, I will just say, dear husband, and I'll talk about everything that I want to talk about. And by the second paragraph, I feel better. By the third paragraph, I feel even better. By the fourth paragraph, I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. This is great. I'm so glad we have this ever, and I will send it to myself. But what I know is that energetically, I sent him that beautiful message because I was able to express it, fully and freely. There's something really powerful about getting it out. And sometimes I've had people say that they've written to people that have passed away, or they've written to, God, or they've written to their spirit guides, or, dear guardian angel. And sometimes it's not the sweet stuff, like, dear guardian angel, what the hell? You are supposed to be watching over me? And why the hell am I, you know what I mean? Like, get pissed. Like, what? Are you effing kidding me? What is going on here? And then what you'll find is that your ability to reach out, and in that sort of recognition, you'll find there's a two-way flow, whether you realize it or not. There's always a two-way flow, because energy that goes out, circulates and comes back in. So find a way to express, process how you're feeling. It's a huge part of the healing process.